The summoning. The forest was too quiet. A silver mist curled along the ground, wrapping the old pines in ghostly silence as the morning sun struggled to pierce through the canopy. No birds sang here, no squirrels scurried through branches, even the wind seemed afraid to speak. Elena Rivers had never ventured this deep into Lunaris Hollow before. Her worn boots crunched against the underbrush as she pushed further along an invisible trail, her backpack bouncing against her spine with each uncertain step. She wasn't running, but she wasn't exactly walking for pleasure either. The envelope in her jacket pocket felt heavier with every breath. The letter had arrived that morning, no return address, just her name written in stark black ink. Inside, a simple invitation that changed everything: the Alpha has summoned you. No explanation, no signature. Everyone in her small human town knew the rumors of the shifter lands beyond the river, though most dismissed them as myth. But Elena had always known something was different about her. She didn't quite fit. Her senses were sharper, her dreams more vivid, and sometimes, just sometimes, she saw things before they happened. A howl broke the silence, low and long, echoing across the mountains like a summons of death. Elena's heart jumped into her throat. Then she saw him. Standing between two towering trees, as still as a statue, was a man unlike any she'd ever seen. Tall and broad-shouldered, dressed entirely in black, his coat fluttered slightly in the breeze, revealing a crimson sash around his waist, a symbol of power, of rank. His eyes, sharp as winter frost, were fixed directly on her. Elena froze. She had never seen him before, but some deep instinct screamed Alpha. And not just any Alpha, Ronin Blackthorne, the one who ruled this hidden world. The one who had summoned her. The one no woman dared to defy. Elena Rivers, he said, his voice deep, quiet, and edged with unmistakable power. You came. She swallowed hard. You sent for me. He stepped forward, and the forest seemed to lean out of his way. His boots made no sound on the forest floor. You don't know what you are, he murmured, beginning to circle her slowly. But I do. Her spine stiffened. Why me? Ronin stopped directly behind her, so close she could feel the heat of his breath against her neck. Because the moon chose you, he said quietly. And so did I. Before she could move, he touched her wrist, just a graze of his fingers. The mark ignited instantly, an ancient sigil glowing gold against her skin. Elena gasped and fell to her knees, clutching her arm. What is this?" she whispered. "A bond," Ronin said, crouching beside her. "Unbreakable. Irrevocable." She stared at him with wide eyes. "You marked me. You were already mine," he said simply. The mark just made it visible. The world spun around her. Her mind screamed to run, but her soul whispered to stay. "I'm not one of you," she said, her voice shaking. "Not yet," Ronin replied, rising to his feet. He offered his hand. "I'll take you to the hollow. There's much to learn and little time." She didn't move. "Why me?" she asked again, softer this time. Ronin's gaze darkened, and for the first time, a flicker of pain crossed his features. "Because you're the key," he said. "To salvation or to ruin." He turned and walked into the mist, expecting her to follow. Elena stood there, heart pounding in her ears. The bond on her wrist still burned, her instincts warned her that nothing would ever be the same. And yet, she stepped forward, right into the shadows that whispered of fate, love, and danger. The path into the hollow twisted like a serpent, coiling through ancient trees whose gnarled limbs reached out like skeletal fingers. Elena's breath came fast as she trailed behind Ronin Blackthorne, her eyes darting between shadows. Neither had spoken since they left the glade, and the bond on her wrist pulsed faintly like a second heartbeat. She watched him from behind, the Alpha's long black coat moving like liquid night, his massive shoulders held in perfect posture, as if he bore the world's weight but refused to show it. Elena cleared her throat. "So where exactly are we going?" He didn't turn. The Hollow. My territory. Your new home. Her steps faltered. New home? I didn't say I was staying. You crossed the boundary. You accepted the bond. I didn't even know what it was. At that, Ronin stopped. Slowly, he turned, his eyes glowing faintly in the shade. Elena, the bond didn't force itself on you, he said, voice low but unwavering. It answered something already inside you. Something you've ignored for years. A chill swept down her spine. She wanted to argue, but he wasn't wrong. She had always felt different, restless, cursed by an aching loneliness that never truly left, no matter how full her life seemed. You still haven't told me why you chose me, she said quietly. He tilted his head, his expression unreadable. Because no alpha survives long without their true mate. And I don't intend to die. His words should have been comforting. They weren't. They raised more questions than answers, and Elena realized with growing certainty that her quiet life was over forever. Part 2, The Hollow. The moment they stepped past the final ring of mist, the Hollow revealed itself, a sprawling hidden sanctuary of stone cabins and towering halls nestled deep within the forest. Silver torches lit the narrow paths, and wolf howls echoed distantly through the trees. The scent of pine, earth, and wild magic lingered in the air. Dozens of wolves, some fully shifted, some in human form, moved through the territory. When they spotted Ronin, they bowed their heads in deference. When they spotted Elena, they stared. Whispers followed her like wind. Is that her? A human. No mark, no shift. She's not one of us. Ronin ignored them, but Elena felt each gaze like a needle. Why are they looking at me like that? She asked, trying not to shrink under their judgment. You're the first outsider allowed into the Hollow in 2 decades, he replied. And the first human ever claimed by an alpha. Her stomach twisted. That sounds bad. He looked at her sharply. It's dangerous, but not bad. Then why do they look at me like I'm cursed? Because you are, a new voice interrupted, colder than the air itself. A woman stepped forward from the crowd, tall, statuesque, with raven black hair and eyes like polished onyx. She wore silver armor trimmed in wolf fur and moved with the deadly grace of a born killer. Ronin tensed. General Mara. Elena, was it? The woman's voice was smooth but venom-laced. You don't belong here. Elena's fingers curled. I didn't exactly ask to be dragged here either. Mara raised a single, mocking brow. A mouthy human. How charming. Ronin stepped between them. Enough. Mara's eyes lingered on Elena. The pack won't accept her. They'll see her as a risk. She's mine, Ronin said, the words crackling in the air like lightning. Mara's jaw tightened, but she bowed stiffly. As you command, Alpha. Ronin didn't look at her again. He took Elena's arm and led her away, deeper into the territory, down a side path that twisted toward a secluded cabin perched above a moonlit ravine. The silence between them was thick. I don't trust her, Elena muttered. You shouldn't. Then why do you keep her so close? He stopped just outside the cabin door. Because every alpha needs a sword and a snake. Inside, the cabin was warm, wood and stone lined with fur rugs and faintly glowing runes carved into the walls. A fireplace roared in the corner, and the scent of cedar and spice soothed her nerves. This is your room, Ronin said. No one enters without my permission. She looked around, stunned. This is mine. For now, he replied. Until you shift. Her head snapped toward him. Shift? I'm human. Not entirely. What does that mean? He stepped closer, his voice barely a whisper. It means the Hollow isn't done revealing your truth yet. Elena's heart beat faster. I don't want this, she said softly. This life, this mark, this world. I didn't want a mate either, he murmured. Not after what happened to the last one. Her breath caught. But the moon chooses, he continued, and it chose you. Their eyes met, fire and frost, uncertainty and pull. Sleep, he said, heading for the door. Training starts at dawn. Training? You'll need it, Ronin said over his shoulder. They won't come at you with kindness, Elena. They'll come with claws. The door closed behind him, leaving her alone with the silence and the distant howls of wolves who did not yet know whether to protect her or tear her apart. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the bond mark on her wrist. It pulsed softly in the firelight, beautiful and terrifying. Whatever she had been before walking into that forest, she wasn't anymore. The question was, what was she becoming? Outside, a wolf howled, long, mournful, and somehow welcoming. For the first time since arriving, Elena didn't feel entirely alone. The hollow was dangerous, full of enemies and uncertainties, but it was also alive with magic and possibility. She touched the mark again, and for just a moment, she could swear she felt Ronin's heartbeat echoing through the bond. Tomorrow would bring training, challenges, and answers to questions she was afraid to ask. But tonight, she was here, she was alive, and she was no longer running from whatever she was meant to become. Training and trials. The first blow came before sunrise. Elena barely registered the blur of movement before she was flat on her back, staring up at the open sky as the wind was knocked out of her. Again, came Ronin's voice, low, cold, and unbending. She groaned, wiping dirt from her cheek. You could have warned me first. You won't get warnings in the hollow, he replied. You'll get claws to the throat. They stood in a clearing near the northern edge of the territory, surrounded by moss-covered stones and training dummies. The scent of pine, blood, and earth filled the morning air. Elena staggered to her feet, arms burning from the last impact. Ronin hadn't held back, not even a little. You're fast, she muttered, for someone twice my size. His mouth quirked in the ghost of a smirk. And you're stubborn. That's a start. She lunged at him, trying to catch him off guard, but he spun, catching her wrist mid-air and flipping her onto the ground again. Her back hit the earth with a thud. You overcommit, he said, standing above her. Too emotional. You hesitate between logic and instinct. She glared up at him. Maybe because I'm not a trained killer. You will be. He offered his hand. She slapped it away and got up on her own. They sparred again and again, each round ending with Elena bruised, aching, and furious. And still, something in her refused to quit. Ronin noticed. You don't give up, he said finally, nodding approval. I don't break easily, she shot back, breathless. So get used to me. A spark flickered in his eyes, almost like pride. Later, Elena sat beneath a tree, wrapping a cloth around her wrist while Ronin observed silently nearby. She couldn't help but speak. You said earlier you didn't want a mate. What did you mean? Ronin didn't look at her. You ask too many questions. I deserve answers. He was quiet for a long moment, then said, she was strong. Brave. A warrior. Elena's chest tightened. She was taken, he continued, voice clipped. And I wasn't fast enough to stop it. That's all you need to know. She stared at him, watching the tension in his jaw. There was pain there, deep pain, but also fury, the kind that never dies. I'm not her, Elena said softly. No, Ronin agreed. You're something else. Something the moon forced into my life when I wasn't ready. She stood slowly. You think I was ready for this? His gaze finally met hers, those stormy gray eyes digging into her soul. You should be careful with your temper. Fire burns bridges. Maybe some bridges need to burn, she snapped. They stood inches apart, a storm brewing in the space between them. But Ronin only turned away. You'll train again at dusk, he said. Don't be late. Back at the cabin, Elena found a tray of food waiting, thick bread, smoked meat, and a bowl of glowing fruit she couldn't name. She ate quickly, then wandered outside, needing space. The hollow pulsed with life. Wolves trained in open fields, some shifting mid-run, bare skin shimmering in the sun before fur replaced it. Others watched her from rooftops and trees, but no one approached. She was an outsider, claimed but not trusted. As she walked deeper into the village, whispers followed her again. She's not like us. She'll weaken him. Or get him killed. Her steps quickened until she turned a corner and slammed into someone. Strong arms caught her before she fell. "Elena, right?" said a voice, light and teasing. She looked up into the face of a young man, tall, golden-skinned, with a lazy smile and sharp hazel eyes. "Name's Jace," he said, walking beside her. "Beta in training. Or was, until you showed up." She blinked. What? "Ronin's got everyone on edge," Jace said. "Especially General Mara. The second you arrived, it was like a war horn sounded." "I didn't ask for this." "Doesn't matter," Jace said. "The mark's on your skin now. You're one of us, whether you like it or not." She frowned. "And you? Do you hate me too?" He shrugged. "Haven't decided yet. But I admire anyone who argues with the Alpha and lives to tell about it." A small smile tugged at her lips. "He's impossible." "He's broken," Jace corrected. "And you might be the first thing to crack him open again." Her smile faded. That night, Elena returned to the clearing. Ronin was already waiting, shirtless, muscles flexed with every movement. The silver scars across his chest told stories of battles long past and ones yet to come. This time, he didn't strike first. He let her come to him. Their bodies moved in tandem, sweat, breath, challenge. He corrected her stances with rough hands, pushed her harder than before, but she didn't break. And when he pinned her to the ground, breath mingling with hers, both of them still for a moment too long, something shifted. Not just in the air, but in the bond. It pulsed, glowed, connected. She saw something in his eyes then, something raw. "Why did you really choose me?" she whispered, pinned beneath him. Ronin's voice was barely a breath. "Because I looked at you once and forgot every reason not to." The words hung between them like a confession, and Elena realized that whatever was happening between them was far more dangerous than any enemy they might face. The trial. Moonlight carved silver paths across Elena's floor as she sat on the edge of her bed, unable to sleep. Her muscles ached from training, her mind spun from Ronin's words, "I looked at you once and forgot every reason not to." The bond between them was no longer just a glowing mark, it had become a presence. She could feel him even when he wasn't there, like a thread tugging gently at her chest. A knock came at the door, soft but urgent. She flinched, rising slowly. Elena opened it a crack, only to find no one there, just mist rolling in thick across the ground. "Ronin?" she whispered. No answer, but the tug on the bond grew stronger, calling her out into the night. Against her better judgment, she stepped outside. The hollow was asleep, its fires low, its wolves silent. Only the sound of the river echoed softly in the distance. Elena pulled her cloak tighter and followed the invisible pull through the winding paths. The trees loomed larger here, older, a part of the forest no one had shown her. That's when she saw the figure. A woman in white, standing perfectly still at the edge of the riverbank, long silver hair trailing down her back. She didn't turn. "Elena," the woman said without moving. She froze. "Who are you?" "The moon has cursed you," the woman whispered. "You wear a bond that will be your undoing." Elena's heart pounded. "What are you talking about?" "You were not supposed to survive the mark," the woman said. "But now that you have, others will make sure you don't survive much longer." "I don't understand." Elena stepped forward. Are you from the Hollow? But the woman vanished into mist before she could answer. A twig snapped behind Elena. She whirled around just in time to see General Mara stepping out of the shadows, her black armor glinting. "You're lucky it wasn't one of the rogues who found you," she said coldly. "Wandering around like prey." "I wasn't wandering," Elena snapped. "Someone was here. She spoke to me." "No one has access to the Hollow without Ronin's command," Mara replied. "Unless something ancient has returned." Her tone was unreadable, almost weary. "Elena," Mara said, stepping closer, "if you want to survive here, stay in your cabin, stay near Ronin, and never, ever, walk near the river after dark." Elena met her eyes. "Why?" "Because that's where the dead whisper." The council hall wasn't built for comfort, it was built for power. Thick stone walls, towering columns, and iron chandeliers dripping with silver candlelight. At the center stood the Stone of Judgment, a jagged black altar etched with runes no one had translated in centuries. Elena stood before the 5 members of the High Council, alone. Ronin had warned her, "If they challenge the bond, you'll stand on your own. That's the law." Councillor Aldrich, the oldest among them, spoke first. Elena Rivers. Human-born, unshifted, claimed by Alpha Ronin Blackthorne without council consent. "Do you deny this?" "No," she said, chin high. "I don't." "Then you stand in violation of pact code. No outsider may carry the mark without trial." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "You speak as if I marked myself," Elena replied. "Maybe your laws are outdated." Then Mara stepped forward from the shadows. "This girl is a threat to our order," she said, voice cold and sharp. "The mark should have killed her. It didn't. That alone is proof that something's wrong with her blood." "I didn't ask for any of this," Elena snapped. "But I'm here, I'm surviving, I'm learning. That has to count for something." Mara's lips curled. "Then let her prove it. Let her stand in a trial by blood." A collective gasp moved through the room. "The trial has not been invoked in over 30 years, Councillor Aldrich said, looking at Elena. "And yet the bond has not defied nature in over 100, Mara replied smoothly. "Let the Hollow see what she's made of." Elena's mouth went dry. "What is the trial by blood?" Mara smiled. "A test of strength, survival, endurance. You'll face a challenger chosen by the council in open combat. No weapons, no allies. Just you, the forest, and your will to live. And if I refuse?" Aldrich's gaze darkened. "Then the mark will be stripped from you, and your bond with Alpha Blackthorne will be broken permanently." Elena's breath stuttered. Ronin hadn't told her that she could lose the bond, lose him. And if what he said was true, if her very soul was caught in this half-state suspended between human and wolf, breaking the bond might kill her. "I accept," she said before she could change her mind. Silence. Then Aldrich banged the staff of judgment against the stone. "So it is declared. The trial will begin at moonrise." Ronin didn't speak to her when she returned. He paced the length of the courtyard, fury rolling off him like heat. "You should have refused," he growled. "I couldn't." "You think this is a test? A game?" His eyes were blazing. "The trial has one purpose, to destroy what doesn't belong." "You think I don't belong?" He froze. Then he turned, slower this time. His eyes met hers. "No," he said. "I think you're mine. But the Hollow doesn't care what I think, and it sure as hell won't go easy on you because you wear my mark." Elena stepped closer. "Then train me harder. Show me how to survive it." His fists clenched. "You don't have time." "Then show me how to win." That stopped him. The cold rage in his eyes flickered, and something else crept through: pride, pain, desperation. "You'll be dropped in the Ashen Woods," he said. "They're cursed. The trees bend reality, light lies, and somewhere inside, the challenger will wait. Who is it? She asked. He hesitated. Mara's protégé. A born fighter, trained since birth. Ruthless, faster than you, stronger than you. Then I'll have to be smarter. His lips twitched. You really are stubborn. She met his gaze. Good. That means I'll live. He stepped forward, his hand rising to cradle the side of her face. I'll find you the moment it's over. And if I don't make it, I'll burn the forest to the ground. Moonrise came faster than she expected. They took her without warning, blindfolded, bound, dropped in the center of a forest that pulsed with wrongness. The trees were twisted, clawing at the sky. The air felt sick. A loud howl sounded in the distance. The trial had begun. Elena ran. The leaves whispered with every step, the wind howled like voices. And then, a growl behind her. She turned too late. The challenger lunged from the shadows, huge, feral, already mid-shift. Half wolf, half man, claws outstretched. Elena rolled aside just in time, scrambling to her feet. No weapons, no rules. Just her and the thing they'd sent to kill her. She didn't scream. She stood her ground. And somewhere in the bond, she felt Ronin's rage ignite like distant thunder, pounding inside her chest. She was not going to die here. Not like this. Not when she had something to prove. Not when she had someone to return to. The final battle. Pain had a taste, it wasn't metal or blood, but something sharper, more alive. Elena rolled away from the challenger's claws, feeling them whistle past her ear. The half-shifted wolfman was massive, muscles rippling under fur that seemed to absorb the moonlight. Fast little human, he snarled, voice distorted between human and beast. But not fast enough. Elena's mind raced. Ronin's training echoed in her head, use your opponent's strength against them. Find their weakness. Survive. The challenger lunged again, and this time Elena didn't just dodge, she dropped and swept his legs. He stumbled, not expecting such a move from someone half his size. She scrambled up a twisted tree, gaining height and distance. Running won't save you, he called, circling below like a predator. Who said I was running? Elena replied, breaking off a thick branch. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it was something. The bond on her wrist suddenly flared with warmth, and she felt it, Ronin's presence, his strength flowing through their connection. The mark began to glow brighter than it ever had before. The challenger noticed immediately. His yellow eyes widened. Impossible. You're not shifted. You shouldn't be able to channel. Elena dropped from the tree, bringing the branch down hard across his skull. He staggered, dazed, and she pressed her advantage. The bond wasn't just connecting her to Ronin, it was unlocking something inside her, something that had been sleeping her entire life. Her senses sharpened beyond anything human. She could smell the challenger's fear beneath his fury, hear his heartbeat, predict his movements before he made them. When he swung his claws, she was already moving. When he lunged, she was already gone. You're not human, he breathed, backing away for the first time. No, Elena said, feeling power course through her veins. I'm something else entirely. The final strike came fast. The challenger, desperate now, threw everything into one last attack. But Elena was ready. She caught his wrist mid-swipe, twisted with strength she didn't know she possessed, and sent him crashing into a tree. He hit the trunk with a sickening crack and didn't get up. Silence fell over the ashen woods. Then, through the twisted trees, came the sound of approaching footsteps. Ronin emerged from the shadows, his eyes blazing with pride and relief. Behind him followed the council members, including a stunned-looking Mara. The trial is complete, Councillor Aldrich announced, his voice carrying a new note of respect. Elena Rivers has proven herself worthy of the bond. Ronin reached her first, pulling her into his arms without a word. She could feel his heart pounding against her chest, could sense the fear he'd hidden beneath his confidence. "I told you I'd live," she whispered against his shoulder. "You did more than live," he murmured back. "You awakened." Over the following days, everything changed. The pack that had whispered about her weakness now spoke of her strength. The bond mark on her wrist had evolved into something more complex, intricate patterns that seemed to move and shift in the light. Elena discovered that she hadn't just survived the trial, she had undergone a transformation that defied every rule the shifters thought they knew. She wasn't fully human, wasn't fully wolf, but something new. Something the ancient prophecies had spoken of but no one had truly believed, a bridge between worlds, a being who could unite the divided supernatural realms. But with power came danger. Word of her transformation had spread beyond the hollow, reaching enemies who had long waited in the shadows. Ancient creatures stirred in the deep forests, drawn by the scent of unprecedented magic. 3 weeks after the trial, Elena stood on the cliffs overlooking the hollow, watching the sun set over her new home. Ronin approached silently, as he often did, his presence now as familiar as her own heartbeat. "Regrets?" he asked, standing beside her. She considered the question seriously. Her old life felt like a distant dream now, the quiet human town, the ordinary concerns, the loneliness she'd carried like a weight. Here, she had purpose, power, and something she'd never truly had before, belonging. "No," she said finally. "No regrets." Ronin nodded, then took her hand. The bond between them hummed with contentment, stronger now than ever. They had both been broken in their own ways, him by loss, her by isolation. But together, they had found something worth fighting for. "There will be challenges ahead," he warned. "Other packs who fear what you represent. Ancient enemies who see you as a threat." Elena smiled, feeling the power that now flowed through her veins, thinking of the pack that had finally accepted her, of the man who had chosen her against all odds. "Let them come," she said. "I'm not the scared human girl who stumbled into your forest anymore." "No," Ronin agreed, lifting their joined hands to press a kiss to her knuckles. "You're my mate, my equal, my queen. And together, we're unstoppable." As the first stars appeared in the darkening sky, wolves began to howl across the hollow, not in warning or challenge, but in celebration. The pack was stronger now, united under leaders who had both been tested by fire and emerged transformed. Elena Rivers had entered the forest as a lost human girl. She would leave, when she chose to leave, as something entirely new. The moon had chosen her, the Alpha had claimed her, and she had claimed her destiny in return. In the distance, the river whispered its ancient songs, and the trees rustled with secrets yet to be discovered. But for now, in this moment, Elena was exactly where she belonged. The mocking voices that had once doubted her were silent. The Alpha who had summoned her stood by her side. And the woman who had once been afraid of her own shadow now stood ready to face whatever darkness dared to challenge her light. The forest had claimed her, but she had claimed it right back. This was only the beginning of her story, Elena Rivers, the bridge between worlds, the Alpha's mate, the queen of shadows and moonlight. The prophecy had spoken of one who would unite the realms, and now she understood. She wasn't just Elena anymore. She was the beginning of something new, something powerful, something the supernatural world had been waiting for without even knowing it. As Ronin's arms encircled her from behind, she leaned back against his chest and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new enemies, new tests of the bond they'd forged in trial by fire. But tonight, under the watchful gaze of the moon that had witnessed her transformation, Elena Rivers was home. The end.